Trapped. Initially, I was thinking about names that can bring to the table for my brand. When I was doing research into materials, I was quite unsure, so it was between fleece and Japanese.
During discussions, we tried to understand that first and foremost, how can we meet customer demands?
I created the girl at the back, if you could see. She looks quite sad.
There were some designs that we needed in high resolution.
It was indeed very challenging.
In this video, I'm going to take you to never seen before behind the scenes of manufacturing a very beautiful sweatsuit sample for a London-based brand. Be sure to stick till the end of the video because this might be the most important video you will see on getting to know what happens behind the doors when you're getting your clothing manufactured. By the end of this video, you will also know how to get your clothing manufactured from overseas the right way. If you're scaling your clothing brand and you have not joined the Clothing by Retrohood Discord server, you're missing out. We hold daily live calls on there and it's filled with tons of free sauce on how to build a successful clothing brand.
In Trapped, initially I was thinking about names that can bring to the table for my brand, which it didn't take long because I already had a brand vision. My brand vision was to explore more into personal feelings and attachments that people may have in the past, feelings that they harbor that could hurt them and make them feel caged up, and that could relate to many issues in the world revolving today. So it could be feelings of past relationships or feelings of maybe being apart from something. So I wanted to put that into something where people could relate to the design and also want to wear it even more so that they can wear it in pride and comfort. That was like my main goal, to put that and envision it into something that I see, that how I perspective it. The person who created it was me. I spent quite a few nightless sleeps trying to design something. I was quite infatuated with the style of cyber sigil. It's quite a liney kind of art, but it kind of expresses a lot to me, and the sharp look and the entanglement of it kind of related a lot to Entrapped, and also the aesthetic kind of got put together. So I wanted to create something like a more unique design that kind of traveled around the whole hoodie and the sweatpants, and I wanted to cooperate that design with like the feeling of emotion and negative emotion, which I managed to do. I created the girl at the back, if you could see. She looks quite sad, and I wanted to kind of picturize it for both men and women so that they can kind of relate to it and look at it. It took around a month to make the tech pack. I was quite new to making the tech pack, so I wasn't exactly sure. I was having a look at all the details that I needed, making sure I was going over every single detail that I needed, from all the basics, from materials, like the material that I want, what kind of zips I want. I had to look over hundreds of times, but even then I did miss out quite a few details. So I'm lucky that you guys were able to communicate that with me, so I could like fill in the blanks and let you guys know. I'm yet to start like doing more marketing at the current moment because I've been waiting on the actual hoodie so we can actually start marketing that. But so far we've got quite a few people that are interested, and we're still slowly growing. It's not massive, but we've got around 100 so far, so we're gonna expand over that. That's 100 just without the actual design being shown yet. So we're doing pretty strong, I'd say. So over time, when we develop that even further. When I was doing research into materials, I was quite unsure. So it was between fleece and Japanese kind of fleece. So I didn't know the difference at the time because I'm not quite familiar with the differences of fleeces. I do work with fabrics, but I was quite unsure with fleeces specifically. So I had a look into that. And then had to have get your quote and what you guys thought and what you guys had in stock or what you can do with that. And then I decided to just stick with fleece, normal fleece, with the mix, the blend that I asked for, which I can't remember from the top of my head, but I think it was like 70% cotton, 30% polyester. So that was one thing. And then it was referencing to other hoodies that I had that I like that we could incorporate into the current one that we have now. So it was me sending you images of like hoods, hood shapes, how it should sit, the density, the GSM for the hoodies. It was experimenting with what you guys had, so I wasn't sure with like the GSMs that you guys had or the maximum quantity that you could do for like the GSM. So it was again asking you guys what you could do. So it was like a sand wash that we wanted to achieve on the hoodie, but we wanted to have it lightly worn. So what happened was in the process, I believe the manufacturing process, the dye had mostly come off and it was more sand wash than actual color. So it was way too light from what I anticipated it to be. So we had to redo that during the process. But once it was redone, it was perfectly fine. We were able to come to terms with that because I used a reference hoodie, and so the process was we had to do it after, I believe, because the material on the cuffs was quite worn on the lines, so we wanted to do that. So that I think we did that instead. Finding a manufacturer, it was quite difficult to find someone who was very trustworthy. But I tried speaking to a plethora of manufacturers, getting their quotes, and debating on like communication on what they gave me. But from you guys, I was able to get a lot of communication, a lot of feedback, a lot of detail. You guys went off and without even starting yet, without like giving my confirmation of whether we can start or not, you guys went for it and had a look at details. So, which is why I thought you guys were quite trustworthy for me.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohit Zahid and I am the co-founder and CEO at Retrohood. So my job at Retrohood is to take the key decisions in the manufacturing side. You could summarize my role as the ambassador for the clothing brand on the manufacturing side. I was also the project director for Entrapped project. My first impressions when I saw this Entrapped designs were wow. As a manufacturer, you don't say wow to a lot of projects. I've seen like tens of thousands of designs, but there are very less designs that excite me. As for the tech pack was pretty detailed, just as a manufacturer wanted to be. There were some designs that needed to be converted into, there were some designs that we needed in high resolution. We asked it from the brand afterwards, and they basically made a whole another tech pack for the design. So yeah, okay. So usually we have a team meeting with all the engineers and the team members that need to be involved in a project. For example, if it's a project that has embroidery, we will invite the embroidery person in and we'll discuss how to go about the project. In this case, we had a meeting with the swing master and the pattern master and the designers and everyone. So the first thing that we do is we go towards the digital side. So we convert all the designs that the brand has. In the case of embroidery, we basically convert the vector file that the brand sends us. We convert that file into a file that basically the embroidery machine can read and implement those instructions and create that design. So yeah. So the manufacturing process was pretty simple. In this case, the whole suit had almost 800,000 embroidery stitches that needed to be done. The tricky part was that the stitches needed to be synchronized with the panel of different panel of the hoodie. For example, there is a stitching like this. We were basically we wanted to do a embroidery so that the embroidery on this part of the panel and the other part of the panel, they synchronize with each other perfectly. They match with each other. So that was a tricky part. We iterated on it one or two times.
My name is Hamza, and I work on production-related projects. Firstly, Mohit informed me about the Entrapped project that came in with many intricacies. The packaging was substantial, so I discussed with my production team how we could cover it, since it was quite a high-profile package. The challenge was that due to the high GSM of the fabric, we faced difficulties during assembly.
My name is Umar Dar. I'm involved in production and such. Okay, we work and cut and sew as much as we can. We have friends and others. We came here with them. When Hamza came to us for the first time with this project, I initially told them that they shouldn't take it into embroidery. It needs to be printed, and that will make it look better. However, they insisted that the customer demanded it, so we're going to take it towards embroidery no matter what. After that, we initiated the processing. During discussions, we tried to understand that first and foremost, how can we meet customer demands? The customer wanted it acid washed. He showed us a picture for it, so we sent it for processing. When they washed it, we processed it according to their requirements. However, we noticed that it wasn't matching the customer's specifications. It was different.
However, the wash turned out to be a bit stronger than expected, lightening the fabric color more than intended. After re-evaluating, we brought new fabric, washed it again, and got the customer's approval on the color.
After that, we started assessing the cutting process. Then we started the process of embroidery. We faced a lot of issues during this process. We had trouble finding the placement and how the design would look. But after what felt like hours of struggle, we still proceeded with it. There was a significant amount of struggle that we had to face with the embroidery, placement, and the design. It was indeed very challenging. We went through numerous trials, around 2 to 3 times, with the machinery. Despite this, Hamza and the embroidery team worked hard, and collectively, we managed to align with the customer's requirements.
I then consulted the pattern masters about the panels involved. After discussing everything, they created the perfect pattern with no sizing issues. Following that, we moved on to cutting the panels according to the patterns, ensuring everything fit properly. Once panel cutting was completed, we faced some challenges during the embroidery process because of the intricacies involved. Some panels required single embroidery, while others needed to be joined together, which created additional complexity at the seams where they interfaced.
Struggling the most in the embroidery. The guy who does all the embroidery work came to us. Major details were openly discussed on the table. We took all the pieces, marked them. All placements were arranged accordingly. After they provided the placements, they took it back to their warehouse. After they did the embroidery, I again got the pieces. Then we joined each panel with another panel, but there was still a noticeable difference. Specifically, for our front kangaroo pocket, one was fitting well, while the other had some issues. And there was also a slight mismatch at the collar area as well.
Although we had an issue with the kangaroo pocket sizing. One side was coming out an inch longer than the other, so we decided to scan it for adjustments. Once we scanned and corrected the size, the issues were resolved.
Once we made those adjustments, we struggled to finalize it. When we embroidered the hem rib of the hoodie, we faced many challenges as the embroidery caused the rib to lose its stretchiness, which is originally due to the spandex in the fabric. It decreased significantly.
After that, we moved on to applying the emblem. Another requirement from the customer was to have a three-dimensional effect applied to the zipper. It needed a three-dimensional detailing on both sides. Before proceeding, we prepared a design that got the customer's approval. After reworking it to a slightly smaller size, we moved into production. The production outcome was impressive, as we achieved the desired three-dimensional effect on both sides. The next step was to color the piece as per the customer's request for a shiny black finish.
Because there's a big difference in the graphics of how this looks and how it'll look physically. This was a 5 to 6 steps process. The main issue we had to face was the thickness of the 3D emblem, so we tried our best to control the thickness. When the piece was finalized, we further sent it for production. And after it came back, we tried our best to clear the base of this piece.
Also mentioned wanting silver chrome in some areas. Hence, we decided to produce both black and silver chrome finishes. We successfully created the black chrome, but it was slightly dull. The silver chrome turned out well, and we revisited the black chrome for a refreshed color coding. After applying a powder coat to enhance the finish, the piece was taken for customer approval. Once we received the customer's confirmation, we brought everything back to the unit for the final process.
Nevertheless, we managed to address the difficulties, and they documented them to ensure we resolve them during the larger production runs. We will finalize those details and will incorporate them into units before delivering them.
Our tailors are highly skilled professionals, and they managed to do an exceptional job. According to our production supervisor, if we had 8 pieces available, we would have been able to replicate it perfectly. But, as this was just a visual reference, we crafted everything based on that image. Alhamdulillah, we were able to create it quite accurately.
I would say you would need motivation, determination, and creativity, because without those 3 things, it's very hard to continue doing so. It's hard to keep yourself motivated to continue going. Because I've seen many people just start it and then drop it and then not come back to it, or start it and it doesn't go well, so they drop it completely and they just stop it, or they don't sell well because their creativity isn't there, or it's just like every other brand or like mass-made product. So it's very hard. So you have to keep everything balanced, I'd say, and it's also being able to market your things well. It's also having very supportive people by your side. Support from people around you is very important, because if you don't have that, it's very hard to get your brand going and also hard to keep yourself motivated.
This accomplishment is a testimony to the expertise and experience of all our workers involved.